Sorry, can you hear me? I can't hear anything from your mic. Okay.
Oscar, can you hear me now?
Yes. Thanks.
Oh, great. And can you hear us? I guess Tsao-Hsien was speaking and support. Sorry, I did a wrong setting.
No worries.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, the point is that this center actually define a function on the set of irreducible representations, because by Schur's lemma, if V is irreducible, then any endomorphism is just a scalar, right? So therefore, you see that this ZV is really just some scalar. Unfortunately, I use some HZ V times identity. So where you have this map HZ from the set of irreducible representation GQ to C. So for any center element in the center, it gives you a map from the set of irreducible representation to C such that its value at V is really just this scalar. Namely, for each element in the center, it gives you endomorphism. By Schur's lemma, this endomorphism is given by just a scalar times the identity. And that's the identity, that's the scalar. Does it make sense? Oh, yeah, you mean some, no, I don't. Z to be identity, yes, yes.
Then
Then FZ should be the FZ should be the delta functions. Yes, yes. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yes. Yeah, actually that's a very important element, right? So it's just an interesting element. Is this okay? So any center, you can think about this also Benson center as a set of irreducible representation. Yeah. But turns out is that you can use this to give some decomposition of this category in the following sense. For example, we have this Deligne-Lucid theory for finite Lie type. So you give a particular decompositions of this into L package or Deligne-Lucid package. So Deligne-Lucid theory so implies that this rep or say irreducible GFQ is a disjoining of certain packet. I write theta. So theta is some semi-simple conjugacy classes in a complex dual group. I think we want finite order. And then also theta is conjugate to theta 2 is FQ. So it's kind of in some sense kind of rational invariant under the conjugate case is Frobenius invariant in some sense. So this is a kind of the Deligne-Lucid theory implies that there's a partition of this set indexed by this kind of element.
Sorry, Tsao-Hsien, how do you make this work? I mean, like the original way G dual is defined over FQ.
Yes, yes. But then there's a way to replace FQ by C.
Yes, but if a theta lies in a split torus, then
yes,
it's like this. But if theta does not lie in a split torus, it's not like this. For example, if you have an element in a non-split torus, it does not have to be conjugate to its q's power. Is that right? Or maybe I'm wrong. No, maybe I'm wrong.
No, I think this is okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, sometimes people write this say as a T. You can identify this as a T check ma W, the value groups, but then put a Q, saying that it's because the semi-simple classes is basically by Chevrolet can be identified T check ma W check, and then use fix under the
Oh, great. Oh, great. Yeah.
convenience.
Thank
Yes. But you have this finite order thing. I will make some comment later when we talk about local long lengths. Somehow how this guy also appears in local long lengths. Okay. So if you know local long lengths or this kind of the Lin-Lucid theory, you see that you have these partitions, right? And then you can introduce a certain subspace of a Bernstein center called a stable Bernstein center. Namely, you can define Z stable, which consists of those elements in the Bernstein center. Yeah, now I just write Z. Otherwise, I don't. Which in some sense, the corresponding function is constant on L packet, the Lin-Lucid packet. So in a sense that the function Hz from Erap G FQ you see is constant on well, say the Lin-Lucid packet. So namely those things. So
Sorry, I'm being annoying. I think the Lin-Lucid packet is not the right analog for stability. Or
sorry.
is it? Like it is not quite an analog for stability.
No, in finite field, I think stability is not a good. The naive stability is not.
But
I think
still,
this is the. I think this is the correct analog. If you want to.
But if you compare Iwahori fixed representations, Iwahori spherical representations over finite field and Iwahori spherical representations over periodic field. I mean, all Iwahori spherical representations of GQP live in different L packets.
Yes, yes.
And comparably,
I will make this
okay,
precise.
cool.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
great.
Yes, only the theta zero appears, but there's a semi-simple Frobenius part if you consider unipolar. I will make the conjecture precise. Okay. Yeah, but if we know this, then somehow it defines a subspace. And this is a subspace. And this is actually a subalgebra. So it's a close under composition because it's endomorphism as a natural structure. Clearly, this is algebra. Here is a composition endomorphism. Here is a convolution of a class function. I define this, and it follows from the definition endomorphism. Clearly, this is a subalgebra. Okay. So local long length implies, well, in the finite field, implies that there's a certain subalgebra, and then you can use this subalgebra to define some intrinsic decomposition of the category. Namely, you just look at basically the eigenvector. So this acts on this, and then you look at those things which are constant, and then they are in the same packet if their value on the corresponding function is the same. So give you a decomposition of representations. So now the point is that in a finite field setting, we have basically the whole theory. Then it implies that there's a interesting subspace. But in general, in local field, it's still not known. Now the point, the stable center conjecture in the local field setting means that they try to give a direct construction of this certain space inside the Bernstein center. And they show that there's some nice property. In particular, this is a subalgebra. Then you can use this to define certain decomposition of the representation of PRD groups. And conjecture this decomposition should be compatible with local long lengths. Okay. And then they propose certain construction of element in the Bernstein center. Okay, so that will be the goal. So here is the finite field story. Is this okay? Now we try to say something what happened for PRD group. And then you see that the situation is much more complicated. Okay, so now we move to. Yeah. For example, in particular, you can. There are. I haven't tell you how to construct interesting element. For example, there are some interesting element here called projectors. The corresponding endomorphism just say theta. So you have some projector say this theta inside this. This is the theta projector. Namely, it maps irreducible as an endomorphism. It maps irreducible not in the packet theta to 0. But if a representation is in the packet, it's identity map. It's like a projector. The convolution action of the corresponding, or as a function here, just it's 1 if your representation is in your packet, it's 0 outside the packet. It's definitely an element here, and they basically form a basis. So if to understand this, you have to construct this. It's enough to construct this. It's not clear, but recently there's a work for Lamont and Latier. They construct. They write out explicit formula for this. So I will talk about this maybe later. And this is related to the depth 0 stable center conjecture. Okay, so now let's move on and talk about periodic groups. So now our category now will be representation of periodic groups. And it's an abelian category, well, more precise, smooth representations. And then what is the center? And what is the stable center? It turns out in a periodic setting, there's a kind of very nice intrinsic definition of stable center, so that you don't unconditionally, so you don't need to know local long length. So let me introduce. So now F is a local field. A local field. Okay. And now so we are interested in the center of you have a rep GF. So this is the category of more smooth representations. Yeah, so because we have topology here, smooth means that each vector is fixed by some open compact. And this is the thing we want to understand. And then clearly it's a abelian category, so you can talk about the center. The center. Okay. So this is the important. So it's just an endomorphism identity again. Yeah, actually, there's a decision on this due to Bernstein. It turns out there's a nice decision on this. But now the point is I will try to connect this Bernstein center with, say, like the story of finite field, some class function or class functions on periodic groups, and also what is stable center conjecture. And hopefully the stable center conjecture is related to some kind of local long length correspondence. Okay, so now, but then the point in the finite field case is that representation theory, this category is the same as a module for certain algebra with unit. But now in this case, it's also related to a module for certain algebra called Hecke algebra. But the main difference is that this algebra is much more complicated. Most importantly, there's no unit. So therefore, the story looks a little different. And also class functions, function theory on periodic group is a little different. You have distribution, you have functions, and invariant distribution, they're very different. Unlike the case of a finite group, just some finite set or some just functions, right? Okay, so therefore I need to explain to you what is the periodic group analog of this group ring. So usually it's what we call a Hecke algebra. And then the category representation basically equivalent to so-called a non-degenerate module for this Hecke algebra. Right? So And then, so this part will be, some of you will be kind of be familiar, but okay. So first you have, you can talk about, there are several spaces. You can talk about smooth functions on GF. Let me now just write G. G will be GF. I don't want much. Okay, you can consider smooth function on this. So it's smooth here means locally constant. So it's a constant. Each point is with respect to the topology on PRD groups. And then you also have a smooth function with compact support. You can talk about smooth functions with compact support on G. So and then you can talk about then there's I think the dual. So then you can talk about the dual, the distributions. And G is by definition the linear dual for this without any topology. So this is a distribution on G. And then what is Hecke algebra here? So first, for distribution, you can talk about the support. So recall that. So if you have a distribution here, then the support of this is the smallest closed subset Z, such that Z is not good S, such that the distribution when you receive the complement is 0. So we can talk about support distributions. Okay, now I can define the Hecke algebra. So finally, the Hecke algebra, the H. So this is the Hecke algebra. Right? It's consider those distributions G, which is such that the support is compact. It's compact. And it's a locally constant. So locally constant. So in the sense that it's an invariant under open compact subgroup for respect to the left action. So it's an invariant under some open subgroup of G, say with respect to say left action. Okay. So by the way, so here I think the standard reference is the lecture or the Bernstein's lecture notes. Bernstein's notes on PRD groups. Okay. So you can define this Hecke algebra, and the some fact is that actually, so first is that actually, if you choose a Haar measure, there's for any Haar measure AAR measure mu on G, there's a isomorphism. So it's roughly just a smooth compact support functions on this. F goes to F tensor with this mu. Okay. So this is a Hecke algebra. And this is called algebra because it has algebra structure. Otherwise, so far I only tell you the vector space structure. But then turns out you can define natural convolution actions, natural product, natural convolution on this. And so it's an algebra. And representation is basically category of this module category for this algebra. So now let me remind you this standard fact. So first, if I have multiplications to G, then induce a map from smooth functions on G to smooth functions on the product. Okay, and then you can define convolution if two in distributions, or in a Hecke algebra, say. Well, actually, you only need distribution, yeah, in a Hecke algebra. Okay. Then you can define convol to be the following thing, such that its values on F is equal to the product evaluated pullback. So you have some functions. So F is some element with compact support, and this is a function of such that its value at this, just you pull back along this map and you evaluate. This makes sense because these two things has compact support, so you can evaluate. Makes sense. You can evaluate this on any smooth functions. Does it make sense? So it's a convolution of distributions. Yeah. So this is with this. It's called the Hecke algebra of G. And now the point is that we want to say that representation of this guy of X, some basic fact. So one should think of this as just the kind of periodic analog of the group algebra. Okay, but you see it's actually much more subtle, right? I already used most two blackboard to tell you what is Hecke algebra. Unlike the finite field case, I just write CG and it makes sense. But now the point is that this guy so note that this does not have a unit, so a unit. Yeah, because the unit for the will be the delta at 1, but this is not locally constant. Right? So the delta function at 1 or delta distribution should be the unit, but it's not locally constant. So therefore, it's algebra, it's without unit. So, but the point is that it's not so bad. They have this is called idempotent algebra actually. So this is so-called it's an idempotent algebra. So i.e. for every finite collections F1 to Fj inside H, then you can find there is an idempotent so i.e. E squared is equal to E in H such that EFI is FIE for all I want J. So yes, has this property. So somehow it looks like locally you have a unit. And now the key point is that turns out smooth representation of PRDU is equal to module of this algebra with certain non-degenerate conditions, namely It's called non-degenerate modules. Back 3 is that rep G is equivalent so-called so-called H modules. It's called so it's called a it's called H mod, say non-degenerate. So the category for non-degenerate module. So this is just basically consists of V is a V is H modules, and you have H V is equal to V. So it's a module for this Hecke algebra, but you assume that the Hx on V is equal to V. Okay. In other words, the image of the action is actually everything. If this guy has unit, this is trivial because if you just take one, so every vector is in the image. But the point that is not, there's no unit. So you have to require this assumption. Too many brackets. So just maybe. Oh yeah. Yeah, I shouldn't write bracket. What I'm doing. And I should erase the big one, right? I think now it's okay. Does it make sense? Yes, equivalence category. So yes. Equivalent. Okay. The what? Module? Well, any smooth representation give you the general module, right? Yeah. I need to explain what is the action. So you have a representation V. What is the H module structure? Oh, bad one. H, yes. H is okay. H is okay because it's a approximate identity. H is okay. Now H is non-degenerate because I think because of this oh no, wait. No.
How about the space of functions without any topology on G? The space of arbitrary functions on G. I think rep G. Oh well. Can you have a Hecke algebra item yet? No. Ouch.
Example degenerate module. Yeah, let me then you convol, you get compact wait. Yes. Yes. Is this okay? Okay. Yeah, now the fact is, so from this, what is the, then you can show that the center is actually, in the case of non-degenerate module, is the center of this H mod non-degenerate. Degenerate. And you can check this is the same as endomorphism of H as H tensor H by modules. So it's a map from H to H, which is compatible with the left and the right actions. If H has a unit, this is literally the center. It's very easy to see. But then in the case of a non-idempotent algebra, you have this general fact. Okay. So you want to write this as the center of H, but it doesn't make sense. Well, it makes sense. So it's sorry. So it's basically concretely consists of those. Sorry, let me write this in a more concrete. No, I think this is okay. Yes. Okay, so the center is this is the description of a center in terms of so see here, to define center, you need category of representations, right? But then here it's just intrinsically with the group. You just have group, and you have this Hecke algebra. You consider all the endomorphisms. You don't need to talk about category of representations. You just kind of more geometric definition. And later we will try to kind of geometrize everything. Okay, and this is a nice model. Okay. No. Yes. It's not the. Yeah. Okay. Is an element that AB equals BA, but not. Yeah, usually the way you try to identify this, you just look at how one goes, right? One goes through something, and that something will, yes, but it has no unit, so you have to write this. Okay. But now there's another description of this, which is also important. So turns out, so let you can count the distribution on the group G, which is invariant and so-called essential compact. So recall that we have in the case of finite group, this is basically class functions, right? Class function on the group, and we try to say that these actually maybe this can be identified with basically so-called invariant distribution on the group. But the precise definition is those invariant distribution, which is, but you have this essential compact condition. So more precisely, it's those distributions G such that it's invariance, a conjugation invariance. So it's a G conjugation invariant. So namely, F is equal to GF for all G. And also its essential complex means that convolve H is equal to H for is in H for all H in you consider those distributions on the group. Invariant means it's a conjugation invariant. So you have a function and you take its conjugate, then the value are the same. So it's the invariant distributions. And the essential compound means that the convolution with a Hecke algebra element, first they commute, and moreover, the convolution, the result is again compact support. So its element here may not be compact support, but the action it defines somehow preserve Hecke algebra. For example, the delta distributions is here, the identity element, but it's not in the Hecke algebra. Am I right? Yes. Okay. So it's a difference. So you see, in periodic group, you have several choices. So they all look a little different. Unlike the case of finite group, there's just only one definition. Yes, but now the claim is that this is a Bernstein center, the same as Bernstein center. The claim is that actually the rep G, we know it's an endomorphism of a Hecke as Hecke tensor Hecke, but also it's the same as the distribution, the essential compact distributions invariant. So this is like the finite group analog of the statement I stated in the beginning. The center is like a center of the Hecke algebra, and you can really identify this with certain invariant class function, invariant distribution. But the precise definition is like this, and you have this essential compact thing. And the function from here to here is very easy. So you have epsilon, then you define, then this is then endomorphism is given by just the convolution. So H to H. Okay. By definition, this makes sense because it's still in the Hecke algebra. So it gives you an endomorphism. And it's a conjugation invariant implies this actually endomorphism of compatible with H times H module structure. That's one side equivalence. Is this okay? So this is the periodical analog of the result we stated in the beginning. The different way to describe the Bernstein centers. Now the question is how to construct element here. So how to construct intrinsic element here, for example. Even for finite group, it's not easy, right? How to construct useful characters, say, for interesting class functions. Okay. So far I give you an element, which is the identity. Okay, so we have this trivial element. And now Bernstein in his lecture also provides interesting, and we will talk about this later, but let me give you examples. You can consider G is SON over F. You consider you have this trace map to F, and then you pick a character, say, and then this map, then you just how to write this? Trace is precise. It's actually in a Bernstein center. Rep G. I think this is. Well, as a essential compact distribution, let me write it. This is the invariant distributions. Invariant because trace is a invariant, but it's an essential compact. Yes, in this harmonic analysis, trace. It's interesting because actually you can do this for SLN, for GON, you can pull back trace. And this element is not in the Bernstein center, but it's actually the Fourier kernel. In this Goldman-Jacket theory, you have to use this to do convolution, and we give you. You will not preserve Heck function, but you map Heck function to Heck algebra, but you have some pole given by L functions. So, but for SLN, it's okay. It's essential compact. It preserves Heck algebra. Okay. So I want to have a break at the 6. Sorry, at the 4:30. Is that okay? Yes. Okay. Yeah. So this is a general question: how to construct essential compact. Turns out it's quite difficult. Yeah. So, but turns out there's a chance to construct a certain subspace, which is the title, the stable centers. And there's a chance to give a construction of stable center because turns out there's a nice conjectural distribution of those stable centers. Okay. So just like the case of finite group, I also define certain subspace. So now let me, in some sense, constructing element here is too difficult in a sense, but there's a chance to construct certain subspace, kind of geometrically. Where's the? So now I want to give a definition of stable center. So recall in a finite group case, the definition use basically long length correspondence. You need some intrinsic decomposition of this category, and this decomposition produce certain subspace here. Unfortunately, here we for at the moment we don't have a local long length for periodic groups, but although we do have some, well, for general group, but we definitely have this for GN and for classical group. Yeah, there also some partials have some decomposition. Yes. And then you will produce some, well, intrinsic question how to. There's some decomposition. Then can you construct this just using harmonic analysis technique, just intrinsic constructions. Okay, so now stable center. So for this, I have to introduce what is stable distribution. So Cheng-Chiang already talked about this. I'll be brief, and then I can state the conjecture. So now, assume G, the derived group is simply connected. So because otherwise the definition I have to modify. So then two regular semi-simple element gamma 1 and gamma 2 are called stably conjugate. If gamma 1 is equal to G, gamma 2 G inverse for some element for some G in a separate closure. Okay. Is this okay? Cheng-Chiang, are you happy or I made a mistake? If without this assumption, maybe it's more. Yes, but yes. So basically, they are conjugate in a closure. So, well, there are some funny example for, well, maybe not periodic. So, for example, for over the real number, you can have this minus 1 0 0 1 0 minus 1 1 0. This is gamma 1. This is gamma 2. They all conjugate to I minus I 0 they conjugate in G y SO2 C. Those are in SO2 R. They are conjugated. They are not conjugated in SO2R, but they are conjugated in SO2C. They are. But you can definitely have some example for other local field. Okay. And now how to define stable distribution? So for any regular semi-simple gamma in GF and any complex support functions, you can look at the so-called stable orbital integral. So first you have orbital integral F, which is F G inverse gamma G dg dt over G gamma F F. This is the orbital integral of this regular semi-simple element. And then you can consider stable orbital integral, which is the sum of those orbital integral F, where gamma prime is a stably conjugate to gamma. Okay. And then of G, the stable. For each gamma prime, which is stably conjugate, but may not be conjugate over GF. Here, this is finite many element, then you consider all those things. And this is called stable orbital integral. And then you call a functions unstable if all the stable orbital integral is 0. And then okay, I need to be here. So you can define C infinity G unstable, which is considered F, such that stable orbital integral 0 for all gamma G regular semi-simple. Okay, and then you define distribution stable distributions are those distributions such that its value at the unstable function is 0. Unstable. Okay, so it's a certain subspace. So it's called a stable distribution. And now now I can state the conjecture. Now I define. So here the stable, which is by definition the stable center intersect G stable. So this Bernstein center is certain invariant distribution, essential compact invariant distribution. You consider those distribution which is stable. And this is called stable Bernstein center, certain subspace. Now let me state the conjecture. The conjecture says that first, this guy is a subalgebra. So it's closed under convolutions. A priori, it's not clear. It's not clear that you have two stable distributions, the convolution is stable. It's not clear at all. But turns out they conjecture that this stable part subspace actually closed under convolutions. So therefore, you can use this subalgebra to give a decompositions of the category representations. Basically, more precisely, they have this fact that the spec home from this guy, the character are in bijection with G check mat. So this is a semi-simple long length parameters. I think let me. So I will say a bit more later this. So first, this is a subalgebra, and then from this you can define certain decomposition of the category representation. Basically, look at how this algebra acts on your representation. If the scale are the same, you put them into a packet. So you give some intrinsic decompositions. And so the packet are parameterized by basically character of this guy. Depends on how this element acts on your user representation. Turns out they can just this in bijection with basically some kind of long length parameters. So if you know local long length, then you can use local long length to define certain subspace. And by definition, it will be a subalgebra, and this will hold automatically. But now the point is that we want to give an intrinsic construction or definition of this without knowing local long length. So far, the story here, there's no dual groups, right? I just give you an intrinsic definition in terms of G. There's no G check. Unlike Deligne-Lucey there, I need to use this to define this subspace. Here is an intrinsic definition. Now, maybe later or maybe next time, I will explain how this is related to local long length in a more precise way. Okay, so I will stop here for the first part. Any questions? I can continue when the seminar ends at 5, right? Now I can say something about how it relates to local long length in a more precise way. If you want. Yes, yes. Yeah, usually long length parameter is more complicated. For example, you have the beta linear representation. You have this and also some monodromy and things like that. And it turns out you look at the kind of coarse decomposition, you only remember this the semi-simple part, this V group part. Yes, 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 yes. Yeah. Yes, yeah. Yeah, the algebra structure is on the convolutions. Is there? Yes, yes, yes. Their convolution is again a social compact. Yes. 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 It's not difficult to show. And under this decision is given by composition and morphism. Yeah, maybe I can. Let's call you a day, then we can continue. Yeah. So next time I will try to explain how this conjecture related to local long length, and in particular, in the depth 0 case, how to prove this, for example. In particular, there's a decision this algebra in terms of long length, the moduli of long length parameters. Okay. Oh, questions?
They're Langland's parameters with some semi-simplicity condition on
Yes.
on the Frobenius. So
yeah.
So, but then for the stable center, the bijections between Langland. Yeah, well, there's a statement.
Yes, the semi-simple.
Oh, because you don't care about the L. Oh, there's
there's this. And this is the complex one, so the kernel is open. Yeah.
Okay.
So all the elements are semi-simple. Yes.
Okay, yes. Thanks. Yeah.
No, because SOG somehow relates to L packet, so somehow this somehow collapse all the L packet. There's a better statement, so let me next time. So this thing actually. Yeah, or if you like just yeah. There's a stack of long length parameters, and then turns out this guy should be just a ring of global functions on these. So it will be GIT quotient of certain framing, and then when you take a GIT quotient, you only remember those semi-simple orbits, and then that's why you somehow you only get. For example, let me give it. So for example, you can consider this kind of G check 10 ramified thing. So Harrison will talk about it. It consists for this S and theta in G check times G check, such that S theta S inverse is theta to the Q, and you quotient out by no, and then you quotient out by G check by static quotients. Okay, and then this guy will be in a 10 case, so you get 10 will be the GIT quotient of this. So will be this is stack quotient, but when you take GIT quotient, you only see this kind of closed orbit. That's why you see. And for example, you give a very conjectural description of this ring. And the hope is that they propose a way to construct this, just starting from those data. You should be able to produce some interesting distributions. Yes. There will be some components. Yes. The 10 part will be open, close component. Yes. Yeah, Harrison will talk about. Actually, this will appear. This thing will appear naturally, right? On a coherent side, you take a categorical center of this Stamber thing, you will see this kind of thing, the 10 part.
Yeah, so I was trying to see why SL2C part or this unipotent part in the GIT quotient disappears. And is it something like if I have an element in the Bernstein center and if I have any prior induction that is reducible, then it has to act in the same way on all components?
Yes.
Okay.
It commute with yes.
And that's exactly what you mean by
yes.
So let me try. So if I have a prior induction of some irreducible supercapacitor from some levy, so you have several components, several subquotients, and it's
they all act by the same.
And any element in the Bernstein center has to act on by the same.
No, stable Bernstein center.
Stable?
Yes, I think so.
At
least stable.
I mean, these elements almost always live in different L packets. Maybe this literally always. But yeah, yeah, but of course, yeah. So
no, basically the Bernstein, if I still localize this thing should be somehow this algebra should act this action on irreducible should be constant on L packet.
Yeah, but these components they live in different L packets almost always. Pretty sure.
In different L packet.
Yeah. But maybe Kazuki is saying that in fact this is a more basic thing about prior induction. Okay. So you're saying it's a deep theorem about Bernstein center that any element in the Bernstein center acts by the same constant on
If it's a periodic induction.
different subportions of a periodic
Yeah.
induction.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, that sounds like me.
Yes.
I don't really know, but yeah, so that will somehow suggest that in this description you don't want to care about the.
But also in the case of GON, there's no difference, right? Stable center is the center because for GON every distribution is stable.
Yeah.
And then, well, then you still then you have to say something about it.
Thank you.
Relation between stable center and the Bernstein center, are they finite symmetrically?
Oh, you mean the
Step of C and step of VSC. Are there any conjectural?
Yeah, so from here you see that there's a map, right? So because and this map should be, I think this map should be finite. Yes, and also I think there's a sections. There's a sections. There are many kind of description about this thing and how you relate to Bernstein center. Another description is kind of endomorphism of Gelfand-Guerre representations. You have some particular representation called Gelfand-Guerre representation. You can look at the endomorphism. Conjecturally, this is the same as stable center. We still have no idea why it is true, but this is kind of far shorter and far conjecture implies, or Xinwen's conjecture imply this. They kind of Whittaker go to the structure shift and they take endomorphism, so it should be. Anyway, I will talk about this next time.
Is there some like analogy where somehow stability has to do with like ignoring the fact that you're not algebraically closed or something? And
I don't know, the stability somehow, you can access same kind of for finite field, but turns out you won't get some kind of meaningful thing. Yeah, but somehow for local field, this stable issue, stability is a very interesting question somehow. At least for group other than GON. This kind of endoscopy, things like that. I think the whole point is for their conjectures that says they somehow they try to find a way to characterize these, trying a way to understand this stable, just geometrically. In classical harmonic analysis, there's a way to understand this. So what Berset has some many powerful, many remarkable paper about this. So Cheng-Chiang will talk about this. But this Roman Kashtan and Bashasi, there are some another way to understand this geometrically using Springer theory, things like that. So yes. Descent.
So about this stack of 10 Lagrange parameters. Tsao-Hsien, would you mind reminding me why there is no semi-simplicity assumption on S, despite for Lagrange parameters?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
want to-
So
yes.
what happens when you like? How about those locus when S is not semi-simple?
Yeah,
How-
because
how
no,
should I think about
I
it?
think the point is just so the basic question is to consider kind of irreducible representations, right? But turns out it's not convenient. You should consider smooth representation. You have some extensions. Irreducible is like look at the semi-simple. You have some continuous family, right? So in the end, we want to understand irreducible, but you have some logically form some nice moduli, and that's why it turns out they realized that yeah, you have to. This is the correct notion. There's some conjecture, and then you look at this on semi. Irreducible thing, then you only pick out those.
Thank you.
Yes.
Irreducible would correspond to saturation.
Oh yeah, I was doing my stuff during the talk. I apologize.
Only considering semi-simple parts.
But that one is recorded. Great.
Uniform part and other
Yes.
claim that they're claiming that somehow. I think maybe you said verbally that.
No, yeah. So you see, there are two projections, right? So you can project to the theta part, so which is correspond to 10 inertia. Then it's the GRD quotient will map to basically T check my W check, but fixed by Q for beneath. The one we see in Stirling Lustig. And the trivial fiber, the preimage of 0 will be the unipotent, right? The so-called unipotent Lagrange parameters. But then there are some fiber. But I just realized actually it looks like a commuting variety, right? But because of this Q case, this is actually a very nice thing. So for example, there's a conjecture that if you without Q, this guy is somehow reduced. It's a conjecture. If you define this correctly,
But this also remind you that in Xingwen's IHS lecture, he also made a comment that if you think of a Q equal to 1 case, then you should add some derived structure to it. You should,
yeah.
you should
They also
only think of it as a
it turns out with Q turns out become easier. So they can prove many nice things, but without Q, it's much more complicated. Yeah. So yes, they can prove this is a complete intersection and reduce this all kind of thing. But it's without Q, it's not known. I think.
Maybe I've inferred it.
Yes.
So how the case has multiple. So I think it feels like functions on the uniform part. That because
Function on the unipotent part, what?
like functions on the
Yeah.
functions on the
Yeah, conjecturally, for example, the unipotent part, the Bernstein center should be just
identify with functions of teacher mod teacher, which is going to be identified with representation of representation rhythm of the group. Yeah, the other part is more complicated. Then you have to instead of G to do this part.
Any other questions from the crowd? Maybe. Does anybody type anything? No more questions? Ready? Oh,
Can you quickly repeat this last part about unipotent and tame parts? I kind of missed that.
I think Oscar asked about this unipotent part of a 10 part. I'm not sure what exactly.
Yeah, I guess I just missed like what you were saying about it. So
This guy fiber over from and why you can say as from theta. And you have simple that you can let the defect minus that and also the defect minus defect so that you have to see 6 by 2. So to add
Wait, sorry. Can you hear Tsao-Hsien?
barely. I think it's coming through your mic, probably.
Yeah, I was told that there's some. Is it better? Not really. Is it open? Is it a green line or something? Horrible. Sorry.
Oh,
Wait. It was okay.
it's now on.
It's now on. Can you hear Tsao-Hsien?
Yeah. I think it sounds better.
Oh, then we have to look at the
Wait,
recording.
has it been like this the whole hour, or is it just
Mm.
recently?
No, it just went like this.
Just
like, right
just
now.
Oh, okay.
Great,
Mhm.
thanks. Yeah, please.
I
sorry.
just said that this 10 part has you can fiber over this or this, and then so if you look at the when theta is trivial, then the preimage is exactly just like
Okay, I think we lost you again. Oh.
What? Oh, wait. Okay. I think. Okay, I have a guess. A moment.
oh yeah. Yeah, we basically just try to one way to understand this is just fiber over this, and then try to look at the preimage and try to understand the preimage and then try to construct element there. Yes.
Thanks.
You good?
So if there are no more questions, let's just thank Tsao-Hsien again. Willie, when are you coming?
I'm still in quarantine, and I'm probably going to work from next week.
Okay, okay. See you. Fantastic. And the
Yeah.
best news this month.
Thank you.
Cheers. See you, Oscar. Yeah, so next week I think Harrison will talk about the cool stuff again. Yeah.